Hello, my name is Sean Cochran, and today we're going to talk about anti-rotational core training. Now, the core is a popular word in sport, in fitness, in general health and wellness these days, but a lot of people don't know what the core is and what its functions are. So basically, the core is a reference to an anatomical area of the body, and ultimately it is all the muscles from just above your knees to just below your chest, and not only is it on the front, back, but sides. So the core as a unit functions primarily to maintain postural positions, as well as translate energy from your lower half to your upper half, particularly in sporting or recreational activities. So a misnomer quite often is to train independent muscles or isolate muscles within the core. Ultimately, what you want to do is you want to train the core as a unit, and you want to train the core and its musculature through patterns that is required to perform in daily activities or sport. Now, if we go back to what I was saying in the beginning, one component of the core is maintain postural positions, and in addition, translate energy from your lower extremities to your upper extremities. So keeping those components in mind, one thing we want to think about when we're talking about core training is anti-rotation. So one aspect of the core is to basically not allow the body to rotate when you're transferring energy from the lower half to the upper half. This is very prominent in rotary-based sports, be it tennis, pickleball, golf. So if I'm performing rotary activities, I'm generating energy from my lower extremities to my upper extremities. My core translates that energy, and in order to do that efficiently, it has to basically not rotate or anti-rotate. Now, a very common exercise that we can do to develop anti-rotational capacities of the core is what is termed a pull-off press. It's a very common exercise. I see it in the gym all the time. It's a very good exercise, but there's two things we need to remember when we're performing the exercise. Number one, executing the exercise correctly, and then number two, creating progressions. So what is a progression? A progression is basically making an exercise more difficult, and through that process of difficulty, you're continuing to challenge the body. If I continue to do the same exercise over and over again without any changes or progressions, the exercise will become easy. And in addition to that, I don't get any benefit from that exercise. So number one, we want to create progressions. And then secondly, we want to be able to perform the exercise correctly. So when I'm doing a pull-off press, what I'm looking to do is basically, I'm going to extend my arms straight out from my sternum or straight out from the area of my upper body, and I'm going to hold that position, and ultimately I'm going to resist rotation. So if I'm doing this in a standing position and I'm not strong enough and I start to extend out and then I rotate, then the benefits of the exercise are lost. So basically I need to regress the exercise. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a series of progressions within the pull-off press that you can begin with and build up as you get stronger to develop those anti-rotational capacities of the core. Now, to begin my pull-off press progression, you can see I'm on the floor here. So ultimately what we must understand is when my lever arms and the length of the body is taller or longer, an exercise is going to get more difficult. So if I shorten the lever arms, the exercise becomes easier. All too often I see someone starting a pull-off press in a standing position. We're going to use a cable machine, but you can use some elastic tubing as well. But that being said, they're in that standing position and they can't control the weight and they cannot perform the exercise correctly. So as I said previously, they're not getting the benefit of the exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from square one and build up. So the first position for a pull-off press is what we're going to do is call a tall kneeling. So ultimately I'm going to get in a tall kneeling position and I'm going to perform the pull-off exercise movement. And again, what I do, if you recall, is I'm pressing straight out from the sternum and I'm coming back in. And when I'm performing that movement, I don't want the upper body to rotate. And obviously I'm going to do this on both sides. Why? Because I have left side obliques, right side obliques, and I want to recruit both of those musculature areas equally. So again, first one we're going to do is we're going to do a tall kneeling pull-off press. So like I said, I've got a cable machine here. You can obviously use elastic tubing as well. What I want is I want resistance basically to the side of my body. That's what is going to cause me to rotate towards the weight stack if I don't resist the pattern or the movement with the weight. So to get this set up, I'm going to get into a tall kneeling position, and I'm going to grasp the cable both hands. So as I pull it to my sternum, what the weight wants to do is it wants me to rotate back. I want to resist that rotation. So your starting position, you're going to engage the core. Now from here, you're going to extend your arms straight out, and the exercise will get more difficult because the lever arm of both arms make it harder. So I'm going to press out, resist, and then come back nice and controlled. So anywhere from 8 to 15 repetitions. And then as you get better with the exercise, you can add sets. Now, the error, which I said before, is when I start to extend out, you'll see me rotate. Resist the rotation. Full extension, back in. Full extension with a nice pause, then relax. And then when you're done, just set it down, and again, flip to the other side. So position number one is going to be a tall kneeling position. Position number two, when we progress the exercise to make it more different, we're going to go into a lunge position. So we're progressing to stage 2 or level 2 with the pull-out press. And if you recall, level 1 was a tall kneeling. Now I'm going to go into what we call a tall kneeling lunge. So all I've done is basically change my base of support. And when the base of support gets less, the exercise gets more difficult. So with that being said, I'm still on the floor, but I'm going to go from a tall kneeling position to a lunge position. So basically my base of support has been decreased. So ultimately this exercise will get more difficult as a result. The concept, the pattern, and the actual movement within the exercise is the same. I've only changed my base of support to progress the exercise and make it more difficult. So again, the same concepts here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be cable. You can obviously use a elastic band or tubing if you like. So again, same concept. Now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up into a tall kneeling lunge. And from that position, I'm going to pull the weight out. And again, right to the sternum. And then from this position, what I'm going to do is extend the arms straight again. Resist the rotation, come back in. So extend out, resist the rotation, come back in. Now, if you've progressed to this level and you're finding it difficult, that's good. But if you're not able to control the patterns, lighten the weight, or actually otherwise, you can go back to progression level 1, which is my tall kneeling, and perform more repetitions till you get stronger. So again, level 2, tall kneeling lunge, same pattern. You're going to extend out and in. And then obviously what I would do is I'd switch the lunge up and perform it in the other direction. The level 3 of the pull-off progression, as you can see, I'm off the floor and I'm standing. So we're going to go from a tall kneeling lunge. Third position is standing, and this is probably the most common position for the pull-off press, though as I stated previously, not always the recommended starting position. So concepts are all the same. Now when I do the pull-off press standing, what I want is I want my feet shoulder width, slight flex in the knees, nice upright body position. So I don't want to be bent over, and I don't want to be extended back. So ultimately I want to maintain a very nice tall position through the extension. So as you can see, I'm on the cable machine, and ultimately as a result of standing, I've moved the machine handle up. So if you had tubing, you do the same thing, move it up to a position which is equal with your sternum or your chest. Concepts are the same. Starting your sternum, extend out. When my lever arms get longer, it's going to be harder. Resist the rotation, then come back in. And as I said, begin with 8 repetitions, build up to 15. I'm obviously going to do both sides because I want to work both sides of the obliques. So here we go. So I'm going to come out. I'm going to get in my nice tall position, slight flex in the knees. I'm going to press straight out from the sternum and then back in. And be controlled in your movement pattern. Give full extension of the arms and do not allow the upper body or the legs to rotate. So again, as I said, I want you to do about 8 to 15 repetitions, then I turn to the other side. So that's level 3 of your pull-off press, and we're going to do one more progression, which we're going to call level 4. The level 4 of the pull-off press progression. And if you recall, tall kneeling lunge, standing position. And the real change in what I'm doing with all these exercises is basically base of support. So less base of support makes the exercise more difficult. That being said, I'm going to decrease the base of support in a standing position for the last progression of this exercise. So as I said before, my tall standing position, I'm just pressing out. So I've got a good base of support. My feet are right under my hips, shoulders. So I'm going to basically decrease that base of support to make the exercise hard. And all I'm going to do is what I call a kickstand position or a very staggered lunge position. So just go from your athletic position, kick a foot back, tighten up your base of support, and then you're going to do your press up. This will be much more difficult. Guidelines for the exercise are the same. Press out from the sternum, resist the rotation, 8 to 15 repetitions, both sides. So here we go. So to start this, I'm going to get the cable or my hands right in front of my sternum. And you can see I have both feet on the ground. So then I'm going to kick my right leg back. Now from here, I've got to really resist the rotation. I've got to press out, then come back in. Extend out and come back in. So with this, it's going to be much more difficult. You're probably going to have to lower the resistance on the weight stack to perform this level 4 progression. But again, remember, in order to make an exercise continually challenging, continue to develop the neuromuscular system as we would like, we have to create progressions. So with the pull-off progression, we're going tall kneeling lunge, standing, kickstand lunge. And again, the goal is to develop the anti-rotational components of the core. Now to wrap this video off, let's do a quick review. But before that, I would ask you, if you like what you're seeing, hit the subscribe button. If you have questions, send them into the comment area and I will certainly reply. But let's review this whole concept. So the core, it is the front, sides, backs of your body, from just above your knees to just below your chest. It has many functions, translation of energy, in addition to maintaining postural positions. One of those components is anti-rotation. Pull-off press is a great exercise to develop the anti-rotational capacities of the core. With that being said, I need to progress exercises. I need to start at a baseline, which I can perform correctly, for an increased difficulty in the exercise as I get stronger. So with this, what we did is we did 4 levels of progression. We did a tall kneeling, we did a tall kneeling lunge, we did a standing, and then we did a modified lunge, kickstand, or staggered stance pull-off press to finish. So again, remember the concepts: resist the rotation, press straight out from the sternum, do not allow the body to rotate as the arms extend, anywhere from 8 to 15 repetitions per set. Start with a lower volume of sets and repetitions, and then advance to a higher volume of sets and repetitions as you get stronger. So again, thank you for your time, not my time. And if you do have any questions, feel free to present comments and we'll go from there. Thank you.